Hello, and welcome to the Application Process module for Landscape Architecture. In this video, we'll go over the application to switch from pre-LDA into LDA and its various requirements. So let's start by defining what the application is. Students who enter the major begin as pre-LDA. To become an LDA major, to have access to upper division coursework, students must submit an application in their first or second year at Davis, once they've completed the majority of their preparatory coursework. The application is sent as an email as a Google form for eligible students to fill out. Admittance is based on a few different factors. Primarily, a student's major GPA is evaluated. Then, in cases of tiebreakers or extenuating circumstances, a statement of purpose, work samples, and a student's cumulative GPA are also looked at. The following slides will go into more detail on each of these application requirements. And we can start by talking about major GPA. Major GPA takes into account just the grades a student receives in LDA coursework, including LDA 1, 2, 3, 21, 30, and 70. It's important to note that this only includes courses taken at UC Davis, so grades received for transfer coursework would not be factored into the major GPA. Another important thing to note is that admission after your winter quarter is conditional, so it's important to keep up your grades in the spring. However, while major GPA is the main consideration in the application process, there are other requirements that can supplement or help explain your grades. The statement of purpose is one of these requirements. It's an up to 500-word essay that gives students a space to explain their interests and goals in landscape architecture. It also serves as a way to communicate with the application review board your educational background, work experience, or even extenuating circumstances that may have impacted your GPA. Transfer students may find the statement of purpose particularly helpful in providing context for their transfer coursework as it equivalates to major classes at Davis. Or if there was a personal circumstance that affected your GPA, the statement of purpose would be the place to let the application review board know. The Academic Assistance and Tutoring Centers has drop-in and scheduled appointment hours for students who might need help in writing their statement of purpose. Work samples are another great way to demonstrate your proficiency in LDA coursework. They consist of 5 images of work samples that show off the skills that you've learned so far in your education. The images will not exceed 5 megabytes each and will have a 1-sentence description that accompanies them on the Google form. It's important to note that the application review board is not looking for a formal portfolio. Here you can see some examples of what a work sample is versus a portfolio page. Work samples are singular images rather than composite ones. There's no text on the page, and the project hasn't been manipulated to fit a color scheme or format. It's as it was submitted as an assignment to your class. Work samples are a great way for transfer students, especially to show off the mastery of the skills that they learned at other institutions. But for everyone, you can always check in with professors, TAs, or other LAED staff for guidance on how to pick out your strongest work samples. Finally, I'll wrap up this presentation with some tips on how to succeed. First off, attendance is actually really important. It's really easy to get behind on projects and papers when you don't attend lecture, discussion, or studio. So to stay on track, it's best to show up when you can. Reading your syllabi at the beginning of each quarter is another great way to organize your goals and learning objectives for each course. Note that these learning objectives are ultimately what make up the criteria in admission evaluations, so it's a good idea to aim for the targets that professors set out during the course. Office hours are also an invaluable resource in landscape architecture for receiving feedback and extra help. If ever you find yourself falling behind, please contact your instructor, TA, or other mentors for assistance. They'd be happy to help. And then there are other resources, like the Academic Assistance and Tutoring Center, which can help you form good study habits, get help with essays, and more. And finally, try to make the most of your preparatory coursework. There is so much to love about landscape architecture, so don't be afraid to explore your interests and have fun with your projects. You have the whole of our LAED staff rooting for you, so best of luck.